Hello, everybody. If anybody has logged on to our Facebook Live, please leave me a comment. Introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. Let me know if you're a handler or if you're a prospective handler. Hi, Alex. We're going to stay on here just a little while until we get some more people added. See some more comments come through. Hello, Julia. We almost have the West Coast and the East Coast covered here, and I'm in the middle. If you're just joining, please make a comment. Let us know where you're from. Let us know if you're a handler or a prospective handler and what kind of animal you have. Hi, Tammy, Tamerlyn. Hi, Tracy. Tamerlyn has 2 therapy dogs in Idaho. Susan, hello from Texas. I'm from Texas too. I'm in Granbury, Texas. Still hanging out just a bit. We're just going to let some people join in. If you just signed on, let us know where you're from. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Kathy. Thank you for joining us today. Hi, Maura. Hi, Susan. Susan's in Sugarland, Texas. So I'm up in Granbury. I'm up in North Texas. And I have a picture that represents Texas here in a minute when we get started. And Rowena's in Bakersfield. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll give it like 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Hi, Susie. Susie hasn't been on her first visit yet, but she can't wait. Well, hopefully we can give you some tips on trying to find a facility. Or let me know if you already have a facility that you're planning to visit, if you've already reached out. And Brenda is here from Louisiana. Awesome. Hope y'all are having some nice weather. We have some cooler temperatures than North Texas, but it's made my flowers go crazy, so I'm pretty happy with it. Hi, Jennifer. Yeah, Janet says she was supposed to do the new handler training in April and it got canceled. Unfortunately, COVID has made quite an impact on the way we normally do things. So we'll talk a little bit about that today, and we can answer any questions that you have. We'll be answering questions that you put in your comments, and also you can always use the contact us link on our website, and we will answer those questions too. I'm going to go ahead and get started. You guys just keep those comments coming in. My name is Colleen Stoner. I'm a program support coordinator for Pet Partners. And what that means is anytime that you use the contact us button on the website or you call into our phone support line, either myself or Julia Heath is at the other end of that. So the contact us button, there really is a person on the other end of that, and we try and answer you back within about 24 to 48 hours as quickly as we possibly can. Today we're going to I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. My husband and I moved to Texas about a year ago from Illinois, and I was a manager or director of volunteer services for a hospital there and had started a therapy animal program at the hospital. So when I moved to Texas and started working with Pet Partners, I was just elated to bring that past experience and be able to work with something that really is near and dear to my heart. I loved working with the therapy animals at the hospital. This is the picture that you're seeing is my little Macy. Macy's a rescue. We've had her for 10 years. She's 14 years old now, and she's kind of one of the loves of our life. She's ornery and stubborn as beagles are, but she's very sweet. And then I have a picture of Jack. This is Jack. He's our Beagle Shepherd mix, and he was 14 also. And unfortunately, he had to cross the Rainbow Bridge a couple weeks ago. He just, had a great life with us. He gave us so much enjoyment. During the time we had him, we got him when he was 4 months old, and it's kind of funny. People ask me a lot of times when the handlers call in, they'll ask if I have a therapy dog or a therapy animal, and neither one of these really made great candidates for therapy animals, even though they're awesome dogs. But it just shows what special pets you have that you're able to pass team evaluations and get them through the process. And then there's a next picture is my husband and I enjoying some Texas sunshine, just walking the dogs. This was last winter, I believe. We're loving these Texas winters. And then finally, I wanted to show something that represented Texas well. And this is Snowflake. Snowflake is a humongous Brahma bull that lives just down the road from us. So every time I go to town, I get to see Snowflake out with his herd, and he is absolutely massive. I've never seen a bull that big, and I grew up on a cattle farm in Illinois. So pretty awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I'll try and keep an eye on comments. The way we're going to do this today, we're going to have kind of break it out into 3 different sections. And I'll stop in between sections and try and answer some questions and look at your comments. So I'll kind of be looking back and forth a little bit. So bear with me as we go through this. This is my first Facebook Live, so bear with me as I get used to this too. So today we're talking about trying to find places to volunteer. And one of the things that is helpful is if you create a login to the Volunteer Center. I'm going to be referring to a lot of resources, and those resources, many of them lie in the Volunteer Center. So when you go on the main page of our website, when you first log in, at the top there is a little thing that says log in, and that's where you create. If you just click on that, you can create a login. It'll get you into our volunteer center, and that's where really everything about you and your team is going to lie. You, as a prospective handler, you're going to start your registration in that area. And even if you're just seeking information, you're not ready to do that yet, go ahead and create a login, because there's a lot of information in our resource library that is going to be helpful to you. Definitely in the comments too, let us know what you would like to discuss today specifically. Once I get kind of through a little bit of the information, throw your and how, COVID has made it really hard to find, for new teams especially, it's made it very hard to find, visiting opportunities, because quite frankly, most all of the face-to-face visits completely came to a halt. Some of those we're seeing pick back up again, so we're very encouraged by that. But don't let COVID be a deterrent while you're going through the discovery process of trying to find volunteer opportunities. There are a lot of things that you can be doing right now to, establish relationships. As those of you who are already handlers know, the required course that you have to take when you're going through the registration process is the Therapy Animal Handler course. And in the Handler Guide, Unit 6 is totally devoted to visiting and finding volunteer opportunities and how to conduct those visits. And it's just a plethora of information. So if you haven't started the process yet, just know that you'll be getting some education along the way to help you find those opportunities in your community. Pet Partners is sorry, my glasses keep sliding down. Pet Partners is a grassroots oriented, community focused organization, and we like to use that approach even when finding volunteer opportunities. So we give you the power to go out into your community to look for those opportunities and to approach facilities. One of the things to keep in mind, there are several things to think about when you're thinking about where you want to volunteer. One of the things to keep in mind is your team dynamic or your team matrix. So when you go through the team evaluation process, you will be assigned a rating of either complex or predictable. The rating, one rating is not any better than the other. They just are kind of a descriptor for us to help you succeed as well as you can as a therapy animal team. And complex actually, it refers to it, environments that may be noisier, there may be low staff involvement, you're kind of navigating on your own, and it's, I don't want to say chaotic, but there's a lot of things going on. And so not every team works well in that environment. Not every animal is going to work well in that environment. So our evaluators are trained to look for that. Predictable just means that the environment is, not quite as busy. There's not as many, as you can imagine, unpredictable things happening. So it's a more predictable environment, higher staff involvement, and it just works better for some teams. Examples of like a complex environment would be a nursing floor in a hospital. There's constantly, people passing back and forth. There might be uh, equipment that's noisy and bumps heavily on the floor that could frighten an animal, and that kind of thing, and maybe an announcement overhead, that could be frightening. So those are the kind of things that you would want to avoid if you have a predictable rating. For predictable, it would be more of like a nursing home or assisted living, or maybe a reading program, the Read With Me program at a local library where things are quieter and a little more settled. Also, something to consider is the population preference. And the population preference refers to you and your animal. So just because you would prefer to work with kids, your animal may not work so well with kids. So that's something where you need to be your animal's best advocate and make sure that you're watching for signs that your animal is comfortable in a particular population. And many of you probably know that already. You probably know in advance what kind of population is going to work well, because we have people coming into our homes and interacting with our animals, and you can tell if they like a certain gender or a certain age category. And then the other thing to consider too is the travel distance. Think about how far you're willing to travel. If you are wanting to approach a facility that you've been dying to go visit, but it kind of stretches the boundaries of how far you're willing to travel. After a while, that could become, your volunteer work could become a bit of a burden. So really consider that before you make that commitment. We have a link in our volunteer center that will take you directly to opportunities that have been listed on our website by facilities who are seeking volunteers. Julia and I are constantly fielding requests that come in through the Contact Us link from facilities who are requesting therapy animal teams in their facility. You won't be able to see that even if you create a login until you're a registered therapy animal team, because we promise privacy for the facilities. But just know that that's going to be available to you when you become a team, or if you already are. Keep in mind too that those are just facilities who have taken the step of actually getting on our website and posting their opportunity. It's not it's not the only opportunities that are available to you. You are welcome to get out into your community. And this is where I was talking about COVID is kind of giving you an opportunity to do some of this outreach now without actually visiting. You can start calling places that you think you would like to visit and just see if they would welcome therapy animals. You would typically talk to the volunteer coordinator or an activity coordinator or activity director, the library director, and actually make sure that you talk to them about what species would be allowed, because for instance, if you own a therapy cat or a cat that you would like to become a therapy animal with or a therapy animal team with, a lot of hospitals won't accept cats. And so you definitely want to talk about the species that you have. And then also something to discuss with them is the registration process that we have you go through here at Pet Partners, because they need to feel comfortable having you come into their environment. So you can talk about the fact that we do have you do handler education through the Therapy Animal Handler program, and that you do have to do an animal screening, an animal health screening. They may want a copy of that as well. Uh, you can also talk to them about the handler education includes topics like infection control and safe visit best practices. And once you go through that registration process, you'll understand, all of the components that it takes to be able to be a therapy animal team. And those are listed on our website as well. You can look for, on the main page of the website, you can look for the tab that says volunteer. And then once you click on that, you'll see some different topical tabs for becoming a volunteer with your pet. And it will tell you, it'll give you an overview of the registration process. And I forgot to mention, I kind of got sidetracked there for a minute because I forgot to mention that Julia is popping up some links. And I see that she just popped a link in about finding volunteer opportunities in the volunteer center. So for those of you that are registered therapy animal teams, that link will be helpful for you if you haven't already found those volunteer opportunities in that directory. Just a tip when you go in, if you do get to go in face to face and meet with somebody at a facility that you're interested in, that is happening in some areas of the country, in others, not so much. Be sure and be professional, dress for the environment, think about where you're going and what would be acceptable in that environment. It's better not to take your animal with you on your first appointment unless they ask you to, so that you can just kind of focus in on what it is that they require to be a volunteer and that kind of thing. It's easier to kind of focus on the task at hand when you don't have your animal with you. And please don't be turned off if they say no. Some facilities just are not ready for it. They don't really understand it, but you might be able to educate them, and down the road, they might open up as a possibility for you. Thought we would talk quickly about the types of facilities and a couple of other items, and then we'll start taking some questions. The types of facilities that our therapy animal teams go to are places like hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living, any residential group home, areas like that where several people live. Also, schools and libraries are big. Hospice, we do work with a lot of hospice facilities. One caveat to hospice is if we provide a home visit, someone from the hospice facility has to be present during the entire visit, because we don't really want you to have the liability of going into a home by yourself. And in case there's some type of medical emergency, somebody from the hospice facility needs to be there for you. Sometimes there are presentations or like booths at different events. Sometimes there are conferences, and corporations will reach out to us because they want to have therapy animals present at a booth at an event. So those are fun. They get to kind of spread the word about, therapy animals and the impact that they make. And then also, I wanted to kind of review just a couple of the Pet Partners policies regarding visits. So you, as I said before, you have the freedom to find your own opportunities. So get out in your community, think about where you'd like to volunteer, and just contact those places and see if they're open to visits. Those facilities, once you make a connection with somebody, with a facility, those do not have to be approved by Pet Partners. That's kind of a recurring question that we have too. We do not have to approve those facilities. If you want to let us know that you're going to start making visits there, that's great, because then we can add them to our facility list so that when you log your visits, once you make your visits and you come back and log those visits, then that facility will be listed, but it's not a requirement. And we don't have to have a formal agreement with a facility. Sometimes the facility will want to have a formal agreement with us. And if that's the case, you can use contact us and reach out to us and we'll contact them directly. And then the other piece is they're all interested in the fact that we provide our therapy animal teams with liability insurance. So the certificate of insurance can be found in the resource library. And remember, I said you have to log in first. So active therapy animal teams can access that, as well as anybody really who creates a login. That's something that you could actually print off and show to them as proof that you are covered by Pet Partners liability insurance. One caveat to that is a Pet Partners visit. This is extremely important. A Pet Partners visit is no more than 2 hours and it's volunteer only. So if a therapy animal team if someone wants to use their therapy animal in the course of work, then it is not a Pet Partners visit. It is not covered by insurance. So just wanted to throw that out there. So I am going to take a break and I'm going to kind of go back up through these comments. So bear with me here just a minute. Oh, Tamalin, thank you for saying that my Beagle is beautiful. I think she's beautiful too. She's just a little old grandma dog at this point. Her face is so white. Okay, let me find. Okay, Megan asked, do you provide us insurance for our visits? So we just went over that. If you have a particular insurance scenario, Megan, you can use the contact us link and let us know what it is if I didn't answer that for you. Pet Partners also has, oh, and I see that it looks like Julia did answer that. If I had just flipped a little bit further. Pet Partners is working on professional liability insurance and can help you obtain professional liability insurance general liability insurance basically for professionals using their animals in therapy. So you just use the contact us button and we can put you in touch with the correct people. Okay. Nancy from Sacramento says, our hospital program is still on hold, not sure when it will reopen. Currently training a puppy to join her sister on this adventure. Would like ideas for doing this during COVID-19. So Nancy, the next section, I'm going to talk about visiting during COVID-19 and some things that you can do. I'm not sure if you're asking about visiting or training during COVID-19. Looks like you're currently training, so I think you're probably talking about visiting during COVID-19. So we'll get to that in the next segment. Okay. All right. And if I don't answer your question today, we will be going back through the comments. I just only have so much time to answer questions, so we will be going back through the comments. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and go to the next section. Yes, I'm going to go to the next section, and then we'll try and get back on some more comments. So keep them coming. This is awesome. And Nancy, I see that you say that you were asking about visiting, so that's good. That's what we're getting onto next. So visiting during COVID, we have some great resources for you. You know, when back in March, when all of us started going, what is going on here? All of us, all of our therapy animal teams, all of us at Pet Partners headquarters, everybody, we were all thinking, how is this going to impact us and how long is it going to be around? And it didn't take too long before we realized this is going to be around a while. It is severely going to impact how we make our visits. And what does that mean? And so we got busy and we created some resources because the concept of animal related engagement, which you can read more about on our website, Julia's going to link a comment or put that link in the comments. But if you go to the main screen when you first log into petpartners.org, there are scrolling pictures at the top of the screen. And one of those is about animal related engagement. And Dr. Taylor Chastain, who is our National Director of Animal Assisted Intervention Advancement for Pet Partners, has provided some wonderful information and links to a lot of resources for ideas for alternative type visiting. And the reason is because we know, and we know through research, that any interaction with an animal is meaningful. And so we tried to come up with ways that people could, look at pictures of animals or see videos of animals. For people who were already connected with some of our therapy animal teams, provide a venue so that people in a nursing home could look on Facebook and actually see the animal that used to visit them in person at the nursing home. And so we created a Facebook page called Therapy Animal Visits with Pet Partners. If you're a prospective handler, you may not know about this yet. So you can go out to that Facebook page and check it out. And we'll get back to that, some of that here in a sec too. I would love to know how you're visiting during COVID-19. If you want to pop some comments in, and we'll look at those comments at the break too, and kind of share some of those, because I think one of the things that is super important about this Facebook Live is sharing, ideas about how to visit when we can't be there in person. And as I said, I encourage you to go and check out Taylor's page on animal related engagement and how important it is. Also, in those scrolling pictures, if you hang out there just a minute, there is also a link to virtual visits. And we've created a handler guide for virtual visits, and Julia will link that in the comments as well. You do need login access, so you have to have a login to the Volunteer Center. I know I sound like a broken record saying that, but there are just some things that we tend to kind of put behind our main Facebook page. And so you will need to create a login for that. But there's so much information in there about how to visit when you can't be there in person. Virtual visits do still follow Pet Partners guidelines. So visits can only be up to 2 hours, and they still have to be volunteer visits. And then there's some information in the virtual guide about different equipment and software or software platforms that you can use, like Zoom, to actually interact. So we have some therapy animal teams, and I'm seeing some information come in. Okay, Susan Steinhardt says that she is currently working with a local library system to offer a virtual reading program via Zoom. So it's wonderful. So they'll have their therapy animals on camera, and they'll have students at the library or in their home reading to the therapy animals via Zoom. That is wonderful. Our Read With Me program is an excellent way for students who maybe are having trouble reading or just need to practice their reading skills to improve those reading skills through reading to an animal. It's a very non-judgmental way for them to practice those skills. And getting back to the concept of animal-related engagement, what we found is that it's even impactful and meaningful for kids to read to, say, they're stuffed animals. There's just so much benefit. Let's see. Let me look at a few more comments here. Okay, so Tiger White says, Duke and I do window and virtual visits and write letters. And if you go to that Facebook page I was talking about, the Therapy Animal Visits with Pet Partners, you'll see some of Tiger's visits and her pictures out there as well. She's done some wonderful things. Window visits are a great way to visit people who are on a ground floor, either at hospitals. There are clinic sites or cancer centers where, they're on a ground floor or even in a separate building. And so window visits could be possible if the facility is okay with it. You can make big signs, hold the signs up, um, wishing you well, doing that at a nursing home where people have literally been in the nursing home 6 months in some places, or almost, I guess, 7 months now in some places, and have not even been able to get visits from their family. So families are doing window visits. You can do window visits too with your animals. You just have to make sure the facility is okay with it. And the nursing home residents absolutely love it. Let's see, what else? What other suggestions do we have? I'm going to zip up just a little bit. And bear with me here while I just kind of go through and look at some comments. Okay, Valerie DeMarco, great suggestion. She says our hospital started outside visits with staff for now. Not sure if you can make that suggestion. Yes, absolutely, we can. What we've told all of our handlers, and this is good for those of you who are prospective handlers as well, is if you just need to follow the CDC guidelines for your area, because it's very diverse across the country and outside of the country, very diverse as to what the rules and regulations are for a particular area. So make sure that you are following the guidelines, social distancing, wearing masks. And boy, the staff in hospitals, they really need this right now. So that's wonderful. So that's something, if you're connected with a hospital, you might even want to, touch base with them if you're not able to do in-person visits and there really isn't the possibility of doing window visits. You might let them know that this is a possibility, doing outside visits with staff from a distance, or, having kind of a parade of animals. It'll make them feel so good, especially if they already have a connection with your animals. They're missing them. Believe me, they're missing them. Okay. Susan Steinhardt has a great suggestion. She says, getting back on insurance, she carries a copy of the proof of insurance with her at all times when she's visiting. So that's good. I think it's important. Having been a director of volunteer services at a hospital, believe me, that liability insurance is part of what sold the program to my administration. So it's highly important. Oh, Tamalin, I'm sorry that you haven't been able to do any of your visits. Hopefully this will give you some ideas. You said that your dogs are terrible with the virtual visits. I get it. That cute little beagle that you saw a picture of, that was a fluke that I got that cute picture of her, because every time I point my phone at her, she just hates it and just is horrible. So I'm sure I wouldn't be able to do any kind of Zoom visits with her. Tiger has a suggestion to do music videos for residents. So music videos with your animals, that would be cute. They would love that. Some handlers are struggling to keep the animals engaged in front of the camera. Ideas or suggestions? That's a question from Jan Nowicki. If anybody can pop in, I don't really know the answer to that, but if anybody would like to pop in and give Jan some answers and suggestions, that would be great. Christy Lindeman says that they've been very active doing therapy pet parades at local hospitals and nursing homes, and I'm sure those have been very well received. And Jan Nowicki says we're sending weekly emails with photos of the animals to key staff to share with everyone, staff and patients. Like I said, they miss you. They wonder what's going on with you. And actually, the person who took my position in Illinois has reached out to me a couple times. There aren't really very many pet partners in that immediate area, but they have a therapy animal. They have therapy animal teams that come in, and so she's been asking, what are you guys doing? How are you staying engaged? And it's been interesting to sort of hear it from the hospital perspective from her. Okay, I think I kind of got to the end of the list there. Let me go on. Couple more things to talk about, and then we'll go back into comments. If you have questions, please keep those comments coming. I think I've gotten through several of them, but if I missed one, like I said, we'll get back out in touch with you. Or if you want, it looks like the comments have slowed down just a little bit. So if you want to pop a question in again that got missed, feel free to do that, because I feel like we'll have time to get kind of go back up through the list. Just as a reminder, when you're logging visits, we talked about this a bit earlier, but when you're logging visits, there is in the volunteer center, one of the big brown buttons of the 6 big brown buttons that you see is log a visit. And you just click on that button and you can tell us where you visited, what day, how long you were there, how many people you saw, and it's real helpful for us. It's not required, but it's extremely helpful for us to kind of understand the impact that we're making. And I do believe that we're going to start focusing on those logged visits more. Again, I don't know that they'll be a requirement, but just know that when you do record your visits, it doesn't go unnoticed. We do use that information. When you do regular visits, you log those. You can log those with virtual visits as well. You can just let us know that it was a virtual visit. Some other things in the resource library, I talked about that earlier. When you create that login to the Volunteer Center, it gives you access to the resource library and a lot of the information in there. Some of the information, well, there's a lot of information in there. We'll just go that way. Let's see. Julia is going to provide a link. There's one resource in there that I think would be extremely helpful when you are reaching out to facilities, and that's the flyers, posters, and handouts. So Julia will pop a link in, and that's basically what you search is flyers, posters, and handouts. There's a lot of documents that you can print off. You can download those and print them off. Yep, there's the link right there. You can print those off and you can use those. When you are talking to somebody on the phone, it might be really good for you to have that in front of you as a resource. You can mail those to your facility or drop them off, or if you get to go meet in person, that would be great too. It'll just sort of help put a little bit of a face to the program and give them a little more information, and it looks very professional when you walk in with a document like that. So you can get in there and play around and look for that. Also talked about the certificate of insurance. I think I've overkilled that point, that it can be found in the resource library. And the handler guide, the therapy animal handler course handler guide, can be found an online version, or not an online version, but a PDF version that you can download is located in the resource library. You can also buy a hard copy of that in our store, our online store, and it's available through Amazon and other book sites as well. I also wanted to talk about the online community. The online community, we have several members, several prospective and already registered therapy animal teams that are members of the online community. I highly encourage you, whether you're prospective or you are a handler, to go into the online community and log in, create a profile for yourself. It's a great way to have a conversation with other handlers. So you can join the program of your choice. I would suggest the therapy animal program, since you all came here for visit information today. It makes sense that you would join the therapy animal program, and you can either join in past discussions. You can see a title of the past discussions and you can pop into any one of those, no matter how old it is, or you can create one on your own. And so we had a lot of activity in there over the weekend, and a couple of them were prospective handlers reaching out to see if there were team evaluations taking place in specific geographic areas. And I was so happy to see that some of our evaluators had popped in and answered the question. That's how the online community is supposed to work. And it gets a little slow in there sometimes, so you I like to see when there's some real robust conversation going on back and forth. It's kind of the best way to get to know other people possibly in your area too, if you don't have a community partner in your area. And you can decide how you receive notifications from the online community. So you can either get them in real time into your inbox. It's just a little flag saying that there's a post in the online community, or you can get a digest at the end of the day, or you could choose to not get notifications at all. And then you can pop in there when you have time at your will and see what's being discussed. Let's see. Let's see what comments have come in now. Okay. Tiger has a suggestion. Anyone needing HP or needing help, I think that means help, right? HP? Needing help with music, video, or coloring. PGRS, I'm sorry, I'm kind of dumb when it comes to some terms. Coloring programs, maybe? She is glad to help. So there's an opportunity there. You've got a resource right there. And I know Tiger is in the online community too, but you can reach out to Tiger and she'll help with helping you get videos put together. Like I said, she's very active in the Therapy Animal Visits with Pet Partners Facebook page. So that's a great place to reach out to her as well. Susan Steinhardt says, we are a reasonably large community partner, 175 members. I'd say that's, yes, reasonably large. That's a very robust group. And so they created their own flyer to pass out to facilities and use it for recruiting efforts. So some of the flyers that we have are editable, so you can put your own information in and tailor it to your group or yourself. Janet Arvola asked, where do I find the online community? Janet, when you create a login to the Volunteer Center, it'll take you to the Volunteer Center homepage, and there are 6 big brown buttons on the homepage. One of them is My Registrations, another is Log a Visit, Courses and Events, and okay, it's escaping me what some of them are now, and I work with them every day. But one of those big brown buttons is the online community. So if you just click on it, it will take you to the login page so you can create a profile. I promise it's super quick and easy. Okay. Oh, and Tiger has shared her email address. So if anybody needs help, Tiger's email address is right there. So if you need help creating a video, let Tiger know, and that's why she's called Tiger. She's a go-getter. She'll help you out. One thing I wanted to share with you as we wrap up here in the last few minutes is, oh, thank you, Luna. We love you too. Sweet. Luna says, hello, we love Pet Partners. Woof, love Luna. Very sweet. As we wrap up, please keep in mind that, as I said before, Julia and I are at the other end of that Contact Us button. And so anytime you use that link on our website, we will get back with you. It may, depending on how busy it is, or there's only a couple of us that filter through everything, and we get lots of requests a day, but I promise you that we will get to it. And we try and do that with either next day or the next day after that. If you haven't heard from us and you think we've forgotten you, and it's been a few days, then feel free to reach out to us again. That's no problem. Could be something went goofy and it just didn't get through. Don't let your questions go unanswered. We also provide phone support hours, and our phone number is on our website. And those phone support hours are Tuesday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m., and that's Pacific time. Okay. And that is pretty much what I have for you today. Feel free to reach out if we didn't answer a question or one comes up later on. You think, oh gosh, I should have asked that in the comments. Just reach out to us. You know how to do that. And good luck. I hope you go back into our website and watch those links or look for those scrolling pictures on the main page. Click on animal related engagement and see what resources are in there. Also click on virtual visits, because I think that will be very helpful. In the animal related engagement, and I believe in virtual visits, there's even links to doing reading programs, the Read With Me program, where you can, read with a child, have a child read with you. There's bookmarks that they can color. There's coloring pages, just all kinds of really great interactive activities to use. And we just are so excited about that program. It's keeping kids engaged. Okay, let me take one last quick look. Nadia, thank you. Thank you for joining. She says, thanks so much. You're so welcome. And thank you for joining. Okay, Kimberly, you're welcome. She says, thank you for information about the general liability insurance for professionals. Yes, and if you want to know more, just send us a contact us and we'll get that information to you. I don't want to go too far into that today because it's pretty detailed. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm so happy that you stuck with me today, and we will see you another day.